Today we are going to cover the video called How to Date Your Butcher. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but really what we're just trying to say is how to transform that relationship with the most important aspect of your direct-to-consumer grass-fed business, which is oftentimes your processors and your butchers. Without them, we are unable to get our product out to the public. So, and a lot of times for a lot of ranchers, at least with the people we work with, it is constantly one of those things that comes up over and over and over again as an issue on, I can't get butcher dates. My butchers are hard to work with. They are few and far between. And while finding a butcher is half the battle, that is not what this video is about. This video is about harvesting the relationships with the butchers that you currently have. And butchers, processors, I'm going to use that interchangeably because they sometimes are the same people. Sometimes they're two separate facilities. It's whoever takes care of your beef on the processing end. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into it. So as we discussed, processors and butchers can be some of the largest bottlenecks in our direct-to-consumer grass-fed beef business. And that's for a good reason. They are hard to come by. Like, they are hard to, once you're in, they're hard to, really get the dates you need and all the things that you need done. But there are a few ways that you can change kind of how you think about that. Oftentimes in this industry, and I can verify this, I've talked to many processors and butchers who say the same thing, that a lot of times what they're faced with is a lot of people who come in and they're not necessarily taking in the entirety of like what operation, like what they have to go through to get your beef produced the way that you want it done. They're more coming at it like, I want, gimme, and I want it now. And, it's a lot of demands that they encounter. And that's common, right? Because we need things done, so we're going to ask for it in a specific way. But what this video is aiming to do is to rethink that relationship with that person and how you can approach it a little bit differently. So one of the things I like to instruct all the people I work with to do is to, set a meeting with your butcher or processor or whoever it is that's in charge, right? And this meeting is just simply to get to know their business and get to know what trials and challenges they face. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come at this and we're going to try to figure out what problems they're facing and how we could possibly be of service. And I know that we're busy in our everyday lives, right? Like we have a ton going on. We've got cattle in the field. We've got orders to fulfill. But if this is the most important relationship in your business, then it needs to be treated as such, right? And so proper effort needs to be put into that. It's just about, approaching them with a one-on-one and trying to figure out about where the hangups are in their business, on their side of things, to figure out how you can achieve what you need to get done, right? Like if you're trying to get certain processing dates in or whatever, you got to figure out what they're going through in order to get that. So, so one of the tactics that I always like to recommend is to have a one-on-one, sit down with them and just listen. There's a strategy that a lot of people use where it's just simply, it's like a know, like, trust strategy, right? So you get to know them, they start to like you, and they begin to trust you. And that's just simply through like listening. And that can go as simply as, you sit down and they're like, so what's this meeting about? It's like, hey, I just wanted to sit down and kind of hear about like your business and like what you guys are going through and hear about like any hangups that you guys have and if there's anything that I can be helpful with. And so, it's just simply listening. And I think you'll be really surprised at some of the things they might have to say. I know that like I said, a lot of our ranchers and farmers traditionally, and just from talking to a lot of processors, they just get a lot of like, I need, and very few of them will actually ask them the reverse question. What do you need? And the answers, like I said, might surprise you. I know that when I did this with our processor, some of the things that they said were, because like, okay, here's the thing. It's like one of our problems is we needed to get X amount of beef done in X amount of time because we had promised fulfillment dates for our customers that we were way overextending. And so we had to figure out why it was taking them so long to process our beef when they said they could do it in this time, but they were actually doing it in a longer time frame. And we were getting upset customers because we had promised it by a certain date, right? So there's a problem right there. So what I'm saying is that you sit down with these people and we got to figure out why these problems are happening. And then rather than just shout that there's problems, bring a solution to the table. So what we did is we sat down with them and we're like, yeah, we just want to hear about your organization, like how you're running things here and what we can do to be your best customer. And so what they told us is that, yeah, like we really appreciate your business. We love having you as a customer. And we're sorry that it's been taking so long to get your beef. But we are struggling with a shortage of butchers. So one of the things that we did is we said, well, would it be helpful if we put out a campaign to try to recruit more butchers for you guys? And they were like, what? You would do that? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. So we put out a huge campaign and tried to rally up people for their butchers program so that they could bring in fresh people and train them and get more butchers on the line, which equals getting cattle processed faster and getting our beef quicker, right? And so it was great that was one of the problems that we were able to provide a solution to. So, once you have your face-to-face meeting, you investigate and listen. So that's what I would say step 2 would be, is investigate and listen with that know, like, trust strategy. And after that, it's a lot of brainstorming solutions to problems. So and like I said, one of the lines I told them was, how can we be your best customer? Another thing they had the answer to on that was, yeah, it'd be really great if you guys could, prepay a deposit amount on how many cattle you're going to bring in. And luckily for us, we were taking deposits, so it was easy for us to just go ahead and do a deposit for them to kind of hold our spot. I understand not everybody can do that, but this is just unique to our situation and example, right? They might say something along the lines of like, yeah, it'd be great if we had direct billing and you could do something where, you have, an EBT set up or some sort of like direct deposit account set up with them to ensure that you're going to pay your bill on time. Because I know that is a huge problem for them because of their cash flow, right? If they don't get paid, they can't do their jobs, they can't pay their people, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a trickle down effect, right? So, but the primary thing is, what problems are they facing and how can we be of service and how can we become their best customer through just simply, learning about what things they're experiencing. Another really great example is we actually have a member in the grass-fed marketing course who had this exact conversation with her butcher. Her problem was that she couldn't get any available dates. Like it was really challenging for her to secure any dates. They didn't want to secure dates, and she was just having a big issue with that because she needed cattle processed, right? They were of a certain weight and they needed done. So she sat down with them and she said, what's the problem here? Like, what's going on in your business? And they told her that they actually needed a cleaning person to clean the floors at nights because during the day they were having to overcompensate and it was like messing up their whole system. So like she literally volunteered for, I think 2 or 3 months or something like that, she said, and she cleaned the floors and she took on an extra job for a while just to help them out. And after that, guys, like she got her pick of dates. It didn't matter if they had to move people around. She was number 1 on the list to get any date she wanted. So, it's about like being creative with the solutions too. And I'm not saying you can solve all their problems or that their problems are even solvable, but it is the fact that you're approaching them with a problem solving mindset and bringing them solutions rather than dumping your problems on them like all the rest of their customers do. So that right there just sets you apart from the pack, right? So right after we are doing our brainstorming solutions and we ask them, how can we be your best customer? We listen to their answers, and then we can take action, right? Another really important element of this, guys, is to share your vision of your company. So telling them, like, what are your goals? When we sat down with our butchers, we said, hey, listen, this coming year, our plan is to do X amount of cows. And what is like the perfect timeline of how we can like fit that in and make it as smooth as possible for you. Because again, and I remind them, we want to be your best customer. So how can we make this fit? And just that alone, guys, that is saying, I want to make a plan. Okay. Because a lot of butchers, a lot of ranchers, they don't even have that. Like you may not realize, or maybe you're currently doing this, but a lot of ranchers, they come to these butchers and they just kind of like dump their problems on them without a plan. And this doesn't include like cut plans. This is just like, just the fact that you can come at them with like a strategy on how you want to run your business to see if it is feasible with them first before launching this plan of action, this business plan of action. It is already taking you closer to being their best customer, working with your butcher and becoming their favorite person ever, right? Because you are showing flexibility in your business to be able to try to work with them rather than just demand that they work with you. So again, if they're our most important bottleneck in our business, the most important aspect, because without them, we're not going to have any beef to sell, then they should be treated as such, right? They should be treated like they are valuable and incorporated into your business plan. So this is just mindset around how to approach your processes and your butchers to evolve that relationship, right? And so sharing your vision and knowing your plan of your business is key. Just to kind of name a couple other things that I've heard throughout my time in this industry. Butchers have thrown at us that, hey, it would be really great if you had a set cut plan for all of your beef coming in. And I know custom processing is like a huge thing, right? But it's really not. And if you can not offer custom processing, but highly advise it. One, because your customers really don't care that much, because the ones that do want custom processing don't really want to pay your prices. They probably have their own backyard cows anyways, and they're just not really your customer. Your customer is the people who already buy from you, but maybe are looking to buy in bulk. And if they are, even if they're not buying in bulk, even if you're just having like cattle processed to fulfill small box orders, having some sort of like cut plan, a template applied to all your beef across the board, proposing this as, even if it's not a problem, I guarantee you that if you even said, hey, would it be helpful if I applied like a set template to all of my beef when I bring them to you? And it may be something they've never even thought of, and they might think about it and go, yeah, you know what? That would actually help us a lot, because it would help us pump out your beef faster, because our butchers would know exactly how to do every single cut versus applying directions to each individual beef, which slows down the process, right? So that's one solution you could propose, even if they don't say it's a problem. It's something to think about that might make their life easier, might make them love you. The other thing is to give sufficient notifications on certain things that you need done. So a lot of ranchers, maybe they have their date, but then like 2 hours before the date, they change everything on what it needs to look like for like cut instructions or whatever. You got to understand, guys, that going into processing side, they're setting up for the day, right? Like your butchers are on the line. They're setting up for the day for how they've been instructed to process your beef, right? And so when you change that on them within the last minute, that could cause a massive delay, frustration, and having to change up their whole system on like how they lay things out, whatever, in getting your beef done. So all I'm saying is like, the consideration of just learning about their operation, learning about what things they go through on a day-to-day basis, asking the questions, what do you do to set up for me when you get ready to cut my beef up or to process my beef? Like, what does your preparation look like? And how could I improve that process? It's just absolutely instrumental and something that will take your processors and butchers completely by surprise. And I guarantee you no one else that they're working with is doing this. So it will absolutely set you apart in the industry, and in the big picture of things, it'll set you apart in that relationship where you know, just like the gal who I'm not saying go clean their floors for 3 months. You may not have time to do that. That's fine. All I'm saying is the effort that you put towards that relationship could allow you the flexibility of having any date you want, of getting cattle processed faster, of having less errors in your beef boxes with the way your cuts come out. You know, it absolutely can change your business for the better when you invest in your relationship with your butchers and your processors. You know, there are additional things that you can do. So like one, we have like investigate and learn about their business, right? And empathize over what their operation looks like and how can we contribute to making their process smoother with our process? How can our business fit into their business, right? And vice versa. But there's additional things that you can do that are so simple, it's ridiculous that more people don't do them. And honestly, thank goodness, because we want to set you apart from all the other clients they're working with. So thank goodness they probably don't think of these things and that we have these awesome videos to provide you guys. But, you know, there's super simple things like, I guarantee you no other clients are showing up, you know, on a random lunch day or whatever. Maybe they're even processing your beef, right? With 5 pizzas for the whole crew, right? Or a bunch of donuts or tacos, or I don't know, maybe even like for the higher ups, like you get them a nice gift card to a fine steakhouse, you know. Gosh, I mean, it's endless what you could think of. Even things as simple as like, you know, writing a handwritten thank you letter on the cut instructions or whatever it is that you have going on. One thing that we do is for the billing gals, you know, I always feel like, okay, they need to be taken care of too. We will send them like chocolate candies on holidays and flowers and, you know, just like surprising things. I've even had like Starbucks deliver coffee to their office. And this is like, obviously if you're not in a crazy rural region or there's a Starbucks close by, but you could drop off lattes to them yourself and have face-to-face. Whatever it is like you need to do to get creative, to think about like fostering and investing in that relationship, you should absolutely do. One of the things that we're going to provide you is a brainstorm sheet where you can write all these things down. And part of that is, you know, step 1 is figure out what types of problems they're going through in their company. Step 2 is the solutions you can bring to their problems to integrate your business into theirs and to make their processes flow quicker, easier, better, and just how you can contribute and grow the relationship that way. But then also just like simple things, like what can you do? And like bring them pizzas, gift cards, flowers, I don't know, maybe the whole crew, you know, maybe you hire a food truck one day to come out and say it's on the house, you know, whatever they want to order. Whatever that is, they're going to appreciate it. It's going to set you apart. It's going to make you, you know, their favorite person and favorite client to cut their beef up for. They're going to take better care of your beef. They're going to pay more attention to detail. They're going to want to keep you happy because why wouldn't they when you treat them so good? You know, so these are just really simple, easy things, guys, that a lot of people in the industry don't think about, but it's lucky that you do, that we're telling you to think about it because we want you to have the best running business there is. And in order to do that, we have to focus on one of the most important parts of your business, which is your processing side. And those relationships that you can foster to become the best thing you could ever imagine. I want for you to have your pick of dates. I want for you to have perfect cut beef. I don't want any errors, and I want you to be excited to go see your processors, and I want them to be excited to see you. No matter how grumpy they are, I know sometimes they can be quite grumpy, but we're going to change that. because they're probably grumpy because all they deal with is problems all the time and they're burned out. You got to understand, like, a really important thing is that they work really, really hard. The butchers, the higher ups, all of them, they work nonstop. Often because they're short staffed, often because they have such an influx of business that they're just trying to get everything done. So they're tired, they're burnt out. So what little things can we do to bring to their lives to improve that relationship, to help us to stick out in order to help our own businesses thrive and grow? So I hope this was inspirational. I hope that you got a lot out of this. I hope it got your brain working. And I highly advise that you use the brainstorm sheet that we're providing to start thinking about how to foster those relationships with your butchers today. And I mean, start today. Give them a call after this video and say, hey, I would really like to meet you. Do you have 15 minutes this week that I could stop in and just chat? I want to bring you donuts. I want to bring you some coffee or something. Simple as that, guys. And then investigate, learn about their problems, learn about how you can bring solutions to the problem, and then additional things. What can you do to spice it up? You know, especially the floor team, the billing team. You know, they all work together, and a lot of them go unappreciated and unvalued. And we're going to change that. We're going to show them that they do matter, that we want to work with them, and that we're flexible in our business to make their lives easier. And I guarantee you, if you make their life easier, they're going to do anything they can for you. So get to it. You got a lot of work ahead of you, and we're excited to hear how it all goes.